Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg by Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing Gaia of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warm forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take a final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Rock and never hide.
Good evening, and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network, where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night, and it's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa, right across the bay from St. Petersburg. The city you may have heard of a little bit more than St. Pete, because when you hear the name St. Pete, most people immediately think of Russia, which is understandable, obviously. But no, this is Florida that we're talking about in this particular chronicle. But tonight we're talking about Tampa, and we're talking about our pack of Garou. And it is the last stream of Rage Across Tampa of the year 2024. And what a year it has been. There have been highs. There have been lows. There have been ups. There have been downs. There have been twists. There have been turns. And if you've been keeping up to date with the story so far, last week, you know that there was quite an interesting turn of events. For our pack went in two different directions to try and get some advantages in their attempt to scout out the location and get some details on Bloody Mary. For this entire season, season 2, has been the hunt for Bloody Mary, the sheriff of the Tampa Camarilla. For beating Bloody Mary, taking her off the board would be a great advantage for the Garou in retaking the city of Tampa, in gaining some territory for the Garou in retaking the city of Tampa. However, there was a bit of a complication for when Lucas and Aiden arrived at the Tampa port to find the boat where they had found Bloody Mary to be staying. Their reconnaissance was interrupted for while they were scouting out the area, they saw a unexpected meeting between Edward Bateman, the Ventru, and Matthias Morningkill and Charles, the Silverfangs. Matthias being the mentor of Aspen, their pack leader, and Charles being the Silverfang in residence, somebody that they've been allied with, but also at odds with ever since they made the decision to sacrifice their cairn to appease the storm spirit recently. Now, with this news, there have been some uneasy tension, needless to say. And with Matthias now in town, unexpectedly, there is definitely something afoot. Maybe more information about that will be uncovered tonight. If you're a fan of the World of Darkness, you should go follow us on all of the social media listed down below. And if you want to learn more about St. Pete by Night, you should join our community by joining us on our Discord. The link is listed in the description down below. You could become part of our community and meet many of our community members, or you could join in on some of our one-shots, or potentially find yourself at one of our tables and playing in one of our long-term games, because we have many games, including Vampire the Masquerade, Hunter the Reckoning, and even some Werewolf the Apocalypse games taking place as we speak right now. So come join our community and be part of the fun. But let's get into tonight's story by introducing our amazing players that make this story possible. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Hey everybody, my name's Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Rune of the Gale Stalkers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champagne, a Garou in a fucking prison on the planet bullshit in the galaxy of this sucks camel dick. I'll be playing Aspen Weiss, Philodox of the Silverfangs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Noree, who unfortunately has to go after Champ when she lies about being lazy about her breaking us. I will be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hi everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, the Shadow Lord Ragabash, and I'm pretty sure we all became best friends right then.
Champ, all I'm going to say about your introduction is you brought this on your damn self, okay? So I don't want to hear it. The crime suits the punishment, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, we heard the recap. But let's pick up right where we left off. That exact same evening, our story begins with Aspen. Aspen, having arrived home from your outing with Jester, you got a, I would say, rather distressing phone call from Artie saying that he needed to meet up with you, that some interesting developments happened with the reconnaissance mission, that nobody was hurt, but that they had discovered more than they expected at the port, and that you needed to be caught up immediately. That meeting at the apartment probably wasn't the best idea, and that he was going to swing by and meet up with you, or that you should come pick him up as soon as possible, since they had taken Lucas's truck to the meeting point, and that you needed to catch up with one another as soon as possible. So having dropped off Jester at Charles's apartment, which was already unnerving to begin with, you meet up with Artie, picking him up, and you're in Regina, driving along. Artie hops in the passenger side of Regina, allowing you to keep driving. And as he's doing so, you can tell that he is uncomfortably kind of wringing his hands as he sets his laptop bag on the floor in front of him. So, news. We didn't find Mary. She's gone. The boat was gone.
Like completely gone?
Yeah. But we found Bateman. He was there. As was Charles and Matthias.
Okay, so Charles and Matthias were there, but Bateman was there. What was Bateman doing there?
I don't know. They were having a meeting, I guess. We were
Who's they?
listening in. Bateman and Matthias. Let me back up. Let me try and catch you up. So, we got to the location. Lucas and Aiden proceeded on foot. I was doing the guy in the van thing. They were doing well at first and then started not doing well for some reason. They almost got caught at one point, which is not like them. They're usually a lot stealthier than that, but they figured it out almost. Needless to say, they got close to the site, and the shipping and receiving docks were on lockdown. That's where we thought the boat might be, but they were heavily guarded for some reason. It was all off the books, as I found out when I was trying to track down more information as to why it was locked down. Police and Port Authority were a heavy presence by shipping and receiving, so I went into their records to see if there were any reports as to why. Nothing. Couldn't find any information. No reports, no messages, nothing. So whatever was happening there, it wasn't official. They started getting eyes on the place, and then there were radio transmissions. Something about... Lucas picked up on something about VIPs arriving. So he asked me to keep eyes on any cars coming in. So I looked into video, and then some luxury town cars started showing up. Now, there was only one way in, one way out. It's a peninsula, so there wasn't any other access points. It was pretty easy to see how cars got there. First, Bateman showed up. Just after dark, he had several guards with him. And then after that, Matthias showed up with Charles and another. Didn't recognize the other, but I can assume that they were Garou. When they showed up, from what I heard, they didn't look too unhappy to be there. Didn't get much more detail than that. But they weren't unexpected.
So they were they were having a conversation with Bateman then.
Seems like it.
Who else was with Bateman? Did he have security?
Just Charles and this other woman.
So it was just Bateman and the rest of them.
Bateman with some security, and yeah.
Did they look like they were trying to grab him or
No, it seemed like
move him somewhere?
It seemed like it was all official, on the up and up. Nothing seemed amiss, as far as I could tell. Nothing seemed odd. I kept eyes on the situation. They met. They went inside into the shipping and receiving area. They were in there for maybe an hour or so, and then they left. Parted ways. Went on their separate ways. Nothing unusual. They just left.
And the boys just watched.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they weren't pleased about it.
You think it would have been possible for the three of you and the others to have grabbed him and got more information?
Bateman?
Right.
We don't know what was inside. We had eyes on the outside, sure, but there were police and port authorities. There were humans crawling the place. The guards that were with Bateman, his personal security, I don't know what they were. They could have been leech thralls. They could have been leeches themselves. I couldn't tell. Plus, we didn't know for sure whether Mary was there or not. We knew the boat was gone. But Mary could have been inside the building for all we knew. We don't know what was inside. Could we have? Maybe. But we couldn't even be sure we could count on Charles and Matthias at that point.
Just don't understand why they would have a meeting or whatever they were doing without some sort of information. I think that puts everybody at a disadvantage.
Well, I haven't exactly been in the best communication with them. Either way.
Us in communication with them.
Yeah. Charles and Matthias.
I've communicated with Matthias a few times since we've had the cairn built.
Right. I'm saying they haven't been very communicative with us either. Like, we don't know what anybody's doing anymore. I don't know what Jester's feeling. She's, staying with Charles now?
Apparently.
Lucas is doing God knows what. Apparently forming an underground, which he's bringing me in on, which is a terrifying thought to begin with, but I'm glad that I'm at least able to keep eyes on it. We are... I think we're heading into some really dangerous territory. And I didn't want to say anything because it's always been dangerous territory. What's new, right? But I feel like we are drifting into very, very uncharted waters without even a lighthouse or a life preserver or anything to guide us more than ever. And I think that we may have really made some mistakes that we can't come back from. Not just you, all of us. And I think we're continuing to make those mistakes. And I'm sorry to say it, I don't know what else to do.
What mistakes are you referring to?
I shouldn't have asked you not to sacrifice Regina in the first place. That was selfish, and that was stupid, and that was unfair. Jester shouldn't have been the one to kill Leon. Aiden should have done it, or Charles, right away. Without question, without hesitation, because it was a leech thrall. Regardless of the personal connection, it wasn't Leon anymore. We shouldn't have sacrificed the Cairn. We should have asked for help from the nation sooner. We should have kept in touch with them, and not just Matthias, but all of them. When Joseph left, maybe we should have brought another Theurgen. Instead of relying on Eliza fully, instead of throwing in our full lot with her. Not that I don't like her, not that I don't think that she's worth having around, but I feel like we are really betting, putting all of our chips on one side here and throwing in completely. We're risking everything on a gamble with no other options. And now we're talking about potentially risking our entire souls, our entire afterlives, our entire futures on something that we don't know anything about. On the word of somebody that we've been taught not to trust. I've been taught not to trust.
Do you trust her?
I do. I do. She's earned that. It's true. And I've got a different experience than most of the people from the nation because I did this by myself for a long time. And I get that. But doesn't something about it seem kind of fucked up? Something, anything? Seem kind of weird?
Everything seems fucked up about all of this, Artie. That's how it's been from day one. And the nation didn't bring us here. Gaia did. And whether or not the nation will help us, they could have and they haven't, which is fine. That's fine. I'm not going to complain about that, but they haven't been here. I understand so much of this is fucked. It's fucked. But Gaia brought us here for a reason, and we're going to keep pushing and doing what we need to do to fight the war that she put us in the middle of. Because that's what... I don't understand where all of this is coming from. From day one, we were here because of Gaia. That's what you've always told me. That we had to fight because of Gaia.
We have to fight because of Gaia, but what if we've been doing it wrong?
I don't remember getting instructions.
Because we didn't ask for them. Because the ones who are supposed to give us the instructions, we have been rebelling against, ignoring, and saying that, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I'm starting to worry that we are screwing up somehow.
I understand that.
Making it worse.
I think we could be. You're not wrong. We could be. But we're not rebelling against anyone. We've been trying to make decisions together, here together. We're trying to do the best we can. Rebelling against somebody, that's ridiculous. But I've gotten advice from Matthias. I've gotten advice, and I've done what I can with it.
Did we take their advice?
Some of it, yes. And some of it I didn't.
Why does it feel like they're making moves against us? Why would they do that?
I don't know. Because they're upset. They think my decision was wrong. They think that my decision was stupid. And I broke the litany, which is a problem. That is a big problem.
I don't want to see anything happen to you. Not over this, not over anything.
I think we'll just do what we can, and I could justify what what I thought was right. I won't say we, I'll say I. What I thought was right. And if that's not good enough, then we go from there. There's nothing we can do to dissuade them from how they already feel besides giving them an explanation.
If I know Lucas and Aiden as well as I've come to know them, they're going to be pissed about this. And they're going to want some kind of comeuppance for it. They're going to want answers for it, and they're going to go seeking them in one way or another. Aiden won't go without your say-so, but I can't say the same for Lucas.
Well, I want answers too. I don't blame him. He can find the answers. He deserves the answers, just like people deserve the answers from us. I think that's fair on both sides. So if Lucas wants answered, I don't know what's happening there. This is new territory. I don't know why my mentor and our ally is interacting with a leech.
Why were we?
Exactly. That's my point. People need answers on both sides. And maybe you're right about the communication on both sides. But I don't think it's fully our fault, and I don't think it's fully their fault. But I think they could have done better. They could have helped. They know that we were here. They abandoned this place for over a decade. You were here alone for a decade. And now they think that they have some sort of sway or some sort of decision to make about what we do here when they haven't even tried. We came here together from Gaia, not from the nation. We were sent here by Gaia. The nation abandoned this place. And because we're trying our best to make it a place for Gaia, and the nation is now interested and we've made them interested, that's all well and good. That's wonderful. And they want to have some sort of say, that's fine too, but that wasn't negotiated. They helped us with the Caern, and we can have that discussion, but the rest of it was not negotiated, nor did I know that all of our actions were going to be under a microscope for the nation when that's not why we're here.
I don't think we can do this without them. I think if we try to do this without them, we will lose. I could survive without them, yes. I stayed hidden a lot. I covered my tracks a lot. I wasn't taking on an army of leeches. I wasn't picking fights with spirits. I wasn't fucking raising the earth. I wasn't going up against greater spirits. I wasn't making deals with my eternal soul. I was hiding most of the time, and when I did make contact with the nation, they told me to stay, and I ignored them. I would go to the moots. I would stay in touch with the nation. They told me to come stay with them, and I ignored them. Because I could hide. Because I could scavenge for myself. I wasn't trying to retake the area. I just couldn't leave my home. What we're trying to do, we can't do by ourselves. Or if we do, somehow by some miracle manage to do it, we will not keep it for long. And it will have been for nothing.
I understand that, but I'm not going to let them stand there and question every decision we make or that we have made. I'm not going to let them do that. And it's kind of hard to hear, Artie, that you say that you could have left, but you stayed to hide. Because you've told me many, many times that this was all meant to happen.
I believe it was. I believe it was meant to happen, but I think we're starting to make mistakes, and I think we're starting to be wrong. I think we're going off the rails, and I think we're changing for the worse. I think we're forgetting what brought us here. I think we're losing our way. I think something happened and we started to go off course, and I don't know when it was. I don't know if it's when we lost Joseph, or if it's when Ryder died, or if it's, I don't know, but something happened and we've started to veer. We've started to go the wrong way, I think, somewhere, and I don't know when it was. I feel like I don't know. I feel like you've changed. You've been changing.
Yes, of course. Of course I have. Of course you have. Of course all of us have. I've changed. I didn't even want to be this when we started.
For as much as you don't like Charles, you've taken a lot of his advice.
I will talk to them. We will come to an understanding, and I will do my best.
I believe in you. I always have, and I always will. And I will back you no matter where you go, even if we are driving a car straight into hell. I will ride with you all the way there. But I can't say nothing. You wouldn't love me if I did. I think we're going the wrong way. And I think we need to right the ship before it's too late. Or at least we need to re-examine the layout or the direction we're going. Just reassess the situation. And if we need to, we need to apologize to the spirits, to the nation, to whoever it takes, even if we don't mean it. Because we can't do this alone. We really can't.
I agree with you. I agree. Oh, I understand what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I won't apologize if I don't mean it. I don't think anyone should. Our honor shouldn't allow that. It's just as bad as lying.
No, you're right. Just...
But I hear you. I hear you, and I hear you, and I will fix it. I will try to fix it.
If it came between losing you and he looks towards the dashboard and places a hand on it, losing her, she knows I would choose her every time. And she'd be okay with it.
I know. I know that.
should probably call him then. Find out why he's here. Get ahead of this thing before it comes to bite us in the ass.
Okay, do that.
I love you.
I love you too.
We will get through this. And I got your back. Don't ever think I don't.
Okay, phone call time.
As Aspen prepares to make a very, very difficult phone call to potentially confront a mentor who has made some unexpected moves as of late, we transition now to Jester, who is about to receive an unexpected phone call. Jester, you have arrived home from your encounter with Aspen at the Faith Center. It's the next day. When you got home, you rested, you relaxed, you tried to eat something. The home, of course, being Charles's apartment, which is a very sparse, modern affair. Very minor, no decorations, no personal touches, other than the post-it notes that now are placed around the apartment reminding you to eat, to shower, to dress yourselves in clean clothes this time. That there are meals in the fridge that have been prepared for you. To take care of yourself. To not make a mess. To clean up the fur if you're going to sleep in lupus on the couch. On this particular day, you're listening to music very loud in the living room. Not loud enough to disturb the neighbors in the luxury apartment, especially one of those new neighbors being Chloe, who has been moved into the apartment building after cashing in a favor with Charles, or at least asking a favor of Charles to get her a place to stay. When your phone rings.
I'll turn the music a bit down and glance at the ID.
As you look at the phone, you see the name Ravenclaw up here on the caller ID.
I'll debate for a second whether or not I want to answer it before I hit the button and hello?
Hey, Jess.
Hey, Raven.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
Do you know why I'm calling?
I have a pretty good idea.
The fuck's going on down there?
Oh. It's a lot. But I'm guessing you're calling about the Cairn.
Calling to make sure you're alive, first and foremost, but yeah, also about the Cairn. Shit like that doesn't happen without us feeling it. But first thing first, are you okay? I'm guessing if you're picking up the phone, the answer to that is yes.
I'm alive. But I'm not okay. And it's a really long story.
going on?
Remember Leon?
The simp?
He was my boyfriend, not a simp.
I repeat the sentiment.
Yeah, well.
Any human that falls in love with a Garou is a simp, let's be honest.
Guess I should have listened to that, huh?
There's a story here.
Turns out he was... The leeches got to him. And they turned him into a thrall. And he was spying on us.
Oh, shit. That's a tale as old as time. Fucking A.
I had to kill him.
Sorry to hear it, Jess.
Yeah.
Why didn't you call earlier? Say anything?
I don't know. When have I ever been good at asking for help?
This isn't asking for help. This is hurting. And just having somebody to talk to. This is family shit. And we're your family. This is screaming into the void, bitching about man problems. Now, don't get me wrong, I've never chased the dick like that, but I can relate.
Probably should have. I don't know. I just got too lost.
You've always been the retreat inward type. You gotta knock that shit off. You're a galliard. You gotta project your problems outward. That's always been Gibbus's way.
Yeah, she's had a really good talent for that.
Had is the right word.
What do you mean?
She's having a hard time right now, Jess. She took the Caern thing a little bit harder than most of us. She's a very empathic type. And when it broke, so did a part of her.
Shit.
She fell a little bit. She'll recover eventually, but a little bit of that light died. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I do.
So you
Sorry.
gotta tell me what the fuck happened, because if it's vampires, if it's leeches, I can handle that, and we can get some well-meaned comeuppance for that. But if it's something else, I need to know. I need to know why this happened, because you hurt me and mine. I demand answers. If you
You
guys
know
were
the
in
hurt.
some kind of trouble, we would have come and helped you.
You know the hurricanes that hit a few months ago?
Yeah?
Oh, there was a spirit behind it that was angry at the fact that I guess rituals hadn't been done to appease it.
Fucking spirits.
Yeah, well, it ended up I wanted to kill Eliza. We talked it out of it, but we had to choose to make a sacrifice, something of the Weaver instead, something of ours, important to us. The Cairn was my idea, but it was an idea throwing out brainstorming. We didn't I didn't think of the other things that we could have done. And then the stuff with Leon happened, and I wasn't present when the decision was made. And I wasn't present when the sacrifice happened. So all I have is secondhand information. But, I mean, feels like all of these are excuses, and the best I have is I'm sorry. We should have called. We should have talked to you about it before anything was done.
Yeah. You should have. You probably should have called afterwards, too. And the first call I should have gotten shouldn't have been from Matthias Morningkill.
Oh.
But I'm glad you told the truth. I appreciate it, Jess. I really do. You know you're important to us, your family to us.
I know.
And I know you're going through a lot. We got bits and pieces, not a lot of detail. Silverfangs don't really get into the emotions of shit, just a lot of the facts. But we heard that you'd been through some shit.
I was catatonic for a while.
This is bad.
I know.
Could get a whole lot worse.
Yeah, I think I know that too.
I meant what I said about hurting me and mine. This did hurt me and mine. And the one I care about most in this world.
Sorry. I didn't know it was gonna do it.
You should have asked your theurge. They probably could have told you.
Should have.
Meanwhile, outside the apartment building, Lucas, you've had a night to think about what you saw. You waited outside of that shipping and receiving plant where you saw Matthias and Charles arrive, meet with Bateman, go inside. You waited for about an hour, and then they walked out with Anna Pelfrey from the Jupiter Sept. They shook hands once more, got in their separate vehicles, and left. While all of these conspiracy theories and feelings stewed within, you knew you didn't want to act on it immediately. There was too much to consider, too much to think of. And Shadow Lords, they don't act instantly. That's foolish. That's what Black Furies do, let's be honest. That's what others do. You don't act rashly or impulsively. You plan, you scheme. So you were going to give it a day. You were going to wait until the next evening to confront Charles. You've worked with him this long. You figure you would at least give him the chance to answer some questions. So as you arrive at the apartment building, your last meeting here having been when you went to talk to him about his intentions being in town. Interesting that. A conversation about intentions. And here you are, about to ask him about more intentions. So as you stand outside of the building, what are your intentions for approaching this conversation? You have two paths. The direct path or the indirect path. The direct path being going in, pressing the door buzzer to be buzzed in and to approach this directly. Or the indirect path, finding a way in that is more covert and less direct.
Knowing who was with Charles, and to Lucas, not so much seeing Charles there, and not so much even seeing Matthias there, it was seeing Anna there. That was the part that shook him the most. Seeing somebody there that was one of the voices responsible for him being expelled from Chicago. That hurts more than anything. There's a real large part of Lucas that is exceptionally angry about that. And strangely, when Lucas is angry like that, he would take the indirect route. That darkness would turn on inside of him, and he would go into that mode where he wanted to find somebody and get as close to their throat as possible without them knowing. But today, and the lessons he's learned and the respect he has for his pack, he's just going to go to the door.
Okay. So you do know that this is a luxury apartment with a doorman. So there is no going directly up to the door and knocking. You do have to buzz a door buzzer to get buzzed in to get to the apartment. So as you do walk up, you find the buzzer for his apartment, and you jam your finger into the button maybe a little bit harder than you intend to. And Jester, as you're on the phone, you're interrupted by the door buzzer going off. Now, in the apartment, there is a little screen next to the door that allows you to view who is waiting at the door downstairs to allow them admittance into the building if you so choose. but it does buzz, interrupting your phone call.
Hold on a second, Raven. I'll go look to see who's buzzing.
You see Lucas standing outside.
Raven, can I call you back? I've got a pack member here.
Yeah. Call me back.
I'll call you back tonight.
All right.
I promise. I'll buzz him in as I hang up with her.
The door buzzes, Lucas, and giving it a jerk open, you make your way in. You pass by the security guard who's waiting at the desk downstairs. They look up from a magazine that they're reading, but don't pay you much mind as you move towards the bank of elevators at the back of the lobby. Then you take the elevator up to the floor of Charles's apartment, walking down the carpeted hallway until you reach the door of the apartment itself. Jester, do you have the door open waiting for him, or do you wait until he gets to the door to open it himself?
I'll wait for him to get to the door.
Okay. So, Lucas, you arrive at the door outside of Charles's apartment.
I'll give a cute little knock at the door. A little shave and a haircut.
I'll open it.
Instead of Charles answering the door as you expect, you find Jester standing in the doorway. Now, again, the apartment is as you remember it, sparse, very modern design, although it is a little bit more lived in than you last saw it. Maybe there's a couple of pieces of clothing around. There's some post-it notes weirdly placed on the wall in certain spots, or maybe on the coffee table. But there's no Charles to be seen, only Jester standing in the apartment.
The fuck are you doing here?
Existing. Charles isn't here.
Where is he?
I don't know. He just left a note saying he had business and he'd be back in a few days. I'll walk off, leaving the door open for him.
Follow in, shut the door, lock it.
You hungry?
What the fuck are you doing here?
I told you. I'm existing.
I need something better than that right now.
That's all I have.
Do you know where he was last night?
No. I'll point to one of the stickies on the coffee table. You can look at the note he left me.
Lucas will take the manila envelope out of his bag and drop it on the countertop. I know where he was at last night. I'm telling you, Jester, it's a little suspicious finding you here, especially after you look at those pictures. So if you got something you want to say before you look at those pictures, please say it now.
Lucas, I do not have the fucking emotional energy to deal with your bullshit right now. Just tell me.
You better fucking get nice coffee or something and get that shit charged back up because you need to look at those pictures then.
I'll go look at the pictures.
So as you open the manila envelope and splay out the pictures, you do see, at first, pictures of some luxury town cars and members of the Port Patrol, as well as Tampa police, out front of a factory of some kind. But as the town cars open, you see Edward Bateman and some obviously armed guards in suits climbing out of the town cars, and then you see another town car with Charles exiting out, followed by a woman very neatly dressed, and then Matthias Morningkill. Then you see them approach Edward Bateman, shake hands, talk briefly before heading into whatever this factory is, And then you see them return from said factory and head on their way. Charles doesn't seem to be a part of the conversation at all. He seems to be flanking Matthias, who seems to be taking lead on whatever the conversation is.
Does the factory name, or actually, this is the one is the fact that it's owned by Endron actually shown in the pictures?
That's actually another factory. That
Okay.
was the
That's a different one.
yeah.
All
The
right.
shipping and receiving was not the Endron factory. Did you include the photo of that in this stack of photos, Lucas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there is another factory that is owned by Endron that is featured in this stack of photos, but it is not the same factory.
Okay.
Oh, and in case you can't tell from the pictures that are laying there, her ship was gone. She's ghosted us. Strange. She ghosts. They show up.
Are you implying something?
Of all the places you could go, you go here?
There was no other place to go, Lucas. I was in a warehouse.
You got Aspen. You've got
Lives in a
Artie.
one-room apartment with Artie and mostly Aiden.
I got a couch. You came here to him.
I didn't come to him.
Would you just wake up here?
No, he dragged me out of the woods when I was wandering around.
Aside. Where is he?
Point to the sticky. All the information I got. I could text him if you want me to.
That would be fantastic.
Pull out my phone. Text Charles. Lucas is here and angry. He saw you at the docks. Then I'm going to look at the pictures with Bateman.
Okay, you don't receive an immediate reply.
I don't expect to. Then I'm going to look at the pictures with Bateman. Looking at the guards. Did you, get a good look at the guards? Know what they are? Any leeches?
That's a pretty powerful lens. We were in a whole nother industrial park next to it. So, no. But I can tell you something that the pictures don't tell you. He'll bang his finger on top of the picture of Anna. That woman. She's from Chicago. She's one of us. She's a ghost counsel. A galliard, to be specific. You'd probably like her. She was also one of the people responsible for kicking me out of Chicago. That aside, she's got a neat little trick that she's really good at. And that's masking what we are around other things.
So Bateman probably didn't know that they were werewolves. Or Garou.
Two elders and Charles. Arm's reach from Bateman. And they fucking shake hands, share a cigar, and walk away.
They're probably purchasing something from him. He's a lawyer.
They know who he is. They know what he is.
Why didn't you attack him?
Well, aside from the fact that I was about 250 to 300 yards away, closing distance.
Couldn't get closer?
No. You weren't there. Don't talk like you were there. That place was loaded with shit. And we weren't there for them. We were closer to the water than them. This was just something we stumbled upon.
Okay.
And while me and Aiden, we could probably cause a significant amount of damage, the three of them, significantly more. So why were they there? Because I got some theories.
Probably purchasing property from him.
You think? So why would
That's
they
why
bring
he's in town.
Why would they bring in a galliard from Chicago to hide what they are? We could purchase property any day of the week, walking
Because
into
he's
any
a
real
fucking
estate
leech.
office. They know that.
Yes. And if they look like normal people purchasing property, the leech won't know that there's Garou purchasing property.
Why are they purchasing property from a leech?
Because he owns it and controls it. And if they take it away from him, he won't control it anymore. But, you know, were you coming to confront him or ask him?
Both.
You think you would have gotten an answer if you just confronted him?
Me and Charles have had some fantastic conversations. Thank you very much.
But you didn't know he's purchasing property in the city.
You don't know he's purchasing property.
Yeah, he told me.
I knew he was purchasing property because he told me Morning Kill was doing it, which is why I came up with the plan that I came up with. Because if Morning Kill owns all the property in the area, guess who doesn't have a fucking leg to stand on? Aspen. If he makes a play, it's over. Everything she worked for, gone. But you know what's even better than a play for just power and money? Taking a young, inexperienced group of Garou, pitting them against insurmountable odds, and then swooping in later to play the fucking hero. Weird. Jester, I'm a fucking Shadow Lord. This is what I do. This is how my mind works. And Silverfangs, they're not that much different than us. There's no nation down here. Aspen wants to build a new nation down here, and I believe in that, but him? He wants the same status quo.
Actually, he doesn't.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
And Aspen didn't want to build a new nation down here. She just wanted to take Tampa. We all were sent down here to do that.
What did you think we were going to do afterwards?
She was supposed to be working with Matthias on that. Matthias is her mentor. Unless things have drastically changed since I was catatonic and suddenly we are enemies. Are we enemies, Lucas? Because if we're enemies with the nation, we're fucked. We don't have shit. We can't take this city. We have what? An apartment, a few storage units in a warehouse, 2 trailers, and an iffy connection to a motorcycle gang in the middle of nowhere in Tampa. That's all we have. We don't have any money. We don't have shit.
You're right.
We don't even have spirits anymore that are like backing us. Our gifts aren't going to work well.
Yep, you're totally complete right. You're completely right.
And you know what? They didn't tell us to do that. That decision was made by us to fuck over the spirits and not talk to them about it, to fuck over our allies within the nation, because unlike you, I do have friends in the nation, and they got fucked. So we don't have shit anymore.
Yeah. We ain't shit. We ain't a shit pack. We ain't a shit leader. We ain't shit members. Yeah, that's all I hear coming out of your mouth, Jester. It's just, we ain't shit.
What have you fucking lost since you got here?
Do you think that makes you important because you lost somebody?
I haven't just lost somebody, Lucas. I lost my entire life to this city.
And I did that before I came here.
So you want to just say fuck it all now and, fuck them?
No, I don't want to give up what we've tried to do. Because they're going to snatch it out from under us.
There's nothing to snatch. There is nothing to snatch. We don't even have a cairn. We
Yeah,
have
we don't.
nothing. There
You
is
got
nothing
down here
to...
before you didn't have one. But you got there together.
We don't even... With them. With their help. Those people that you are saying fuck off, and they're snatching stuff out from under us, they came to help us. And we didn't even talk to them before sacrificing the cairn that they were connected to as well.
Well, if they were here to talk to Hurricane the last 10 years,
We
maybe
didn't
we
call
wouldn't
them.
have had to have
We
that
didn't
conversation, would we? Where were they 10 years ago? Where were they for 10 years?
Let's see. In Colorado, fighting the worm.
Yep.
In Washington, fighting the worm.
Okay.
In Ohio, wait, no, not Ohio. In various places, in Alabama, fighting the worm. Yeah, I get it. I know better than you that they weren't here 10 years ago. But you know what? They were here when we asked them to be here, but then we didn't ask them anymore.
Yeah, we asked them and then they left.
Yes, they left because they have their own cairns to take care of.
Yeah, they left so they gave up a right to make a decision. Choose your own level of participation.
So let me get this straight. If you did someone a favor and then you went back to your normal life and then a part of you got ripped apart without you even knowing about it because somebody else made a decision without telling you, you'd be okay with that.
That seems like rather a straw man argument, but okay, fine. I'll bite. Yes, I would be mad about it, but I would listen to why they made that decision, and I would judge then instead of immediately just trying to snatch it away from them.
Did anybody call them and talk to them? Did you call them and talk to them?
I wasn't here when the calls were made. I came when they came.
I'm talking about when we destroyed or when we sacrificed the cairn. Did you talk to the spirits that were there that we, invited in and promised to protect and then murdered? Did you even bother to talk to them before you sacrificed the cairn?
Not a thurge.
Don't have to be one.
Sure.
You could have asked Eliza to communicate for you. I did when I talked to Rat.
Well, then, you can just go be the bigger person, and when you end up shoveling shit in some backwater Silverfang cairn,
I'll not be dead.
then be dead. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to this pack. You can throw your lot in somewhere else.
So you don't even give a damn about the spirits, do you?
Nope, I care about this pack and this pack alone, and that is it.
Cool. Got it. Good
Nobody has to die. In all the shouting and commotion, you didn't hear the deadbolt unclick. You didn't hear the door open. Looking over your shoulder, you see Charles standing in the door, his suit coat draped over his arm. He looks tired, to say the very least, as if he hasn't slept in the last 24 hours. He doesn't look too disheveled, although his normally slicked back hair has kind of started to wilt a little bit. He has closed and locked the door behind him. At least I hope not. That remains to be seen.
Does it now?
Hello, Lucas.
Charles?
I understand. You saw some things. Good for
Yeah.
you. What can I do for you, Lucas?
I think a bit of insight would be what you can do for me.
Ask away. I'll tell you what I can.
Why is your boss shaking hands with leeches?
He's doing what he said he was going to do from the moment we got here. He's making
Capitulate.
arrangements for the fallout. He is securing the port, one of the biggest export and import locations for the entire area. And because of your, well, I should say, our actions, the leeches are liquidating some property. It seems that they need resources to acquire food recently. A reasonable enough offer from a high enough bidder came in, and they were willing to acquiesce to it. Now, Mr. Bateman wanted to meet the bidder personally. This added a interesting complication, so we had to secure some protection for the arrangement. So we made some assurances you're well familiar with.
So, shakes hands with the devil for the greater good.
I've heard it's best to look the enemy in the eye, yes.
Yeah, but you were still hiding.
Did you get information on Bateman?
Yes. Quite a bit, actually.
Do you know where Mia is?
She was there. She's still alive, if that helps.
She a thrall?
Most likely. She was responding quite favorably to his requests.
I'm gonna have to kill her too, aren't I?
Possibly. But there's no guarantees as of yet. We do not know the seriousness of the condition. It could also be partial with mind manipulation. I do not know.
He was already doing that when she was in prison. That's
Could
why
merely
she...
be continued.
Unless he's dead.
doesn't reverse the damage.
Yeah, no, but at least he can't do it anymore.
She was there to marry. Inside the building.
She must have missed her ship, because it was gone.
Indeed.
Why didn't you bring us in?
Why didn't
Why
you?
did- Give me that line of bullshit. He's been doing stuff behind our backs
We
the whole
told you
time.
what we were doing. Securing the assets.
Then why didn't you share the information?
This was a last-minute arranged meeting.
We all have cell phones.
Indeed we do.
Sounds like
If
you
you've
didn't
been
want to.
planning an attack on the one known as Mary, If you had information as to her whereabouts and were doing reconnaissance to learn more, that seems like useful information for everyone to have. Perhaps we would have walked into a trap.
You know, you show up to a pack meeting, you tend to pick up on these things.
I show up to a pack meeting when they have a meeting place. Like a cairn.
Cute. Cute. Well, I think I have everything that I need. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that an Arun would get that close and not try something. I'm disappointed. But I guess a company man is a company man is a company man. I know, I used to be one. I know what it's like.
We all have our strategies, Mr. Shaw. Just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean that they aren't effective. I learned quite a great deal, and I am willing to share what I learned. I do believe we are after the same thing, even if we go about it differently. I do wish to see you and your pack succeed. I wish to see us all succeed. I always have. But there are punishments to be answered for. The litany was broken. Oaths were broken.
The litany. The litany. Can't ever forget about that litany, can we? No. No. And yeah, I understand the litany was broken, but you went with somebody and shook hands with a leech.
What about
So
Spud?
did you.
Yep. I'm gonna fucking kill Spud one day.
But you didn't when you had the opportunity. So don't be a hypocrite.
Then I think that we should just cancel all these things out and let it go, because I do have those pictures sitting in a cloud, and it'd be real complicated if they got out, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't be the first time we've worked together. You're from Chicago.
I'm not going to send them to Chicago.
Tell me about a little war in your history.
Yeah, sure. The Night of Blood. Yeah, the Red Moon. Everybody knows it.
Leeches and Garou have worked together in the past. It's not a first. You are not
Do you know-
speaking words that are damning to anyone.
Do you know how many kin we lost? How many packs died? And when we found out in the end, it wasn't even the fucking leeches we were fighting. It was the fucking spirals.
Indeed.
They manipulated the entire thing. So, what's going on here? Fight the worm where it is at. We have different ways of doing it, I agree. Do not let it breed. We have different ways of doing it, I agree. But to come down here and say the litany was broken because we made a wartime decision, that's not going to have much ground to stand on. There were a lot of shitty decisions made in Chicago, too. I wasn't there, I wasn't old enough, but I hear the stories all the time.
As do I. We must learn from our mistakes, so not to repeat them. I understand. This was not my decision, Lucas. I am following orders.
Company man through and through.
You follow
Alright, you
your
guys-
leader, I follow mine.
You guys are fucking perfect for each other. Keep the pictures. I'm rather proud of those shots. They came out well.
I look rather good in them, I agree.
Your right cuff's a little taller than your left, but I'm sure you do that already. He'll turn to head out.
You pass through the door into the hallway, leaving the apartment behind. As soon as the door closes, what's going through your head, Lucas, as you make your way out, heading towards your truck?
Lucas is thinking about all the ways he can accelerate his plans with the cartels, because he sees this as a very dangerous threat to his pack leader. And so now he is going to begin to think of faster ways to get this done.
Okay. So you head to the truck, climbing in, starting the engine. New machinations, new thoughts, new plans going through your head, leaving Jester and Charles in the apartment. As soon as the door closes, Jester, Charles reaches up and rubs his eyes and starts heading back towards his bedroom, going to change clothes and straighten up before preparing to head out again. You hear him go into the bedroom and you hear the shower turn on. What's going through your mind?
I don't know if I want to sacrifice my soul to the Caern to a bunch of people who don't seem to care about even spirits that had nothing to do with the nation that are our allies and are willing to murder them. Sounds a lot like what the vampires do, and that doesn't sit right with me. But I'll pick up my phone and I'll head to my room and call Raven back to finish our conversation.
So as you call back Ravenclaw, finish your conversation, we transition once more to Aiden. Aiden. It's been a few more days now. You've had a lot of pent-up energy since you saw Charles and Matthias at the port of Tampa. But you've decided to use this energy creatively, constructively. So you headed out to the site in the woods that is to be the new Caern. This peaceful place. This place that you discovered. This place that you took Eliza. You had this creative inspiration in your mind. Why don't you go ahead and describe what thought you had, the project that you've been working on and wanted to create?
So the conversation of while he was making his way out there, that Eliza said that the Caern, this new place that's going to be like there's only one other place she's ever felt like that, and that was back home out on a porch swing. So his thought is, why not give her the best of the two worlds? So he's going to head out to the new location and attempt to build her his version of a porch swing. The whole idea doesn't quite make sense to him, but he understands what a swing is at least. So he's going to try and get that idea actually put out there.
Okay, so why don't you make me a dexterity and craft? And yes, I'll let you use your bushcraft specialty because you are using natural materials to try and bring this to life.
3.
Okay, so stitching together grasses to try and make the ropes, trying to make a seat out of fallen wood, using branches, trying to find a big secure branch from a tree to put it together. You actually do put together a capable swing from a high-hanging tree that hangs overhead. And as you have climbed up the tree to secure it, go ahead and roll me a wits and awareness.
Four.
So as you're perched up high in the tree, across the pasture, just on the edge of the tree line across the pasture, you spot a figure, a man. And the scent hits you first before the vision. And you recognize it. And at first, the scent sends a bout of nostalgia and excitement, followed quickly by confusion, then worry, then maybe a little bit of fear. As Duncan, your mentor, all the way from Washington, stands at the edge of the circle across the pasture, his long red hair fallen upon his shoulders. He stands watching you, but his posture is a little more rigid, less relaxed than usual. He watches, and while his face his eyes are a little softer, his mouth is tense at the corners, as if he's kind of biting something back. But as he sees you make eye contact, he doesn't hold back anymore, and he starts to walk out into the pasture, approaching you.
Gonna secure the knots on the top of the tree and then shimmy the way down. He's gonna stutter and then eventually start running up to him and then try and go for a hug.
As you come in for the hug, you see his features soften a little bit, and kind of a soft smile, little weak but soft, across his features, and he does take you in for the hug, giving you a squeeze. Aiden.
Wait, what are you, what are you doing here? They're a long way from home.
That I am. Unexpected visit, I'm afraid. I would have called,
Very.
but this was, I guess, urgent, and, well, I had to get here quickly, let's just say. How are
you? Still climbing trees and...
See that? A swing.
Yeah.
You're coming up in the world.
Porch swings don't make sense, but swings do.
You kind of need a porch for that, but this works.
Yeah. Eliza said that she had a porch swing back home, so I figured I'd throw one up.
Well, it's a nice offering.
Yeah. But what's going on? Like, what? You said it's urgent. Is there anything I can help with?
Well, I don't know if it's something that you can help with, but it's something that I felt like you needed to know. I was asked to come here. Do you know someone by the name of Matthias Morningkill?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Do you know his relation to your friend Aspen?
Yep. Yeah, I've talked to them a few times. Real stiff guy.
I'll say. Well, he has reached out to a few of us. A few of us that came together to put the cairn together. Some of us that came and helped out in building the cairn.
Right.
Well, obviously, something happened to the cairn. And there's some belief amongst those that helped build it that it was foul play that caused it to happen. And that it was an offense, an affront to those that helped create it, and an affront to the laws that we live by. So there is a inquiry being made. A formal inquiry, as formal as things can be made. So Matthias has brought a few of us together to town to have this inquiry into Aspen. And if we don't like what we hear, or if we don't like what she has to say, something has to be done about it. Because this isn't good, Aiden. What happened isn't good. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but the decision wasn't just like made. It's like, hey, let's get rid of this. We're put in a really bad spot.
Then why didn't you say anything?
It's a good question. Just trying to figure things out here. You got things that you're having to deal with up there. I know things aren't necessarily always easy up there, and trying to maintain things down here. I'm sorry. I should have called. You're right.
They weren't easy when you needed us to build it. But we
you're
came.
right. I appreciate that. That was a huge help. I know that what happened is felt by everyone that participated in that. But there was a storm spirit, big one, the hurricanes, that were upset that things haven't been done for the past 9-10 years or something like that. So in order to make things not as bad as they could have been, demanded a sacrifice. It's trying to figure one out that a spirit of like that, one that wouldn't be so much a slap in the face to it. The Caern was one that seemed to be the best offering that we could give, but we didn't consider the fallout of all of it. And there was a lot more things that happened. The whole, like, when the one pebble falls off the mountain, the boulder starts to roll kind of thing. And us hitting that pebble really kind of brought that boulder down. So we're trying to stop it, trying to get everything figured out, but it's going to break things on the way down.
Well, this is part of the boulder, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to seem like an ambush. I know where you come from. I know your origin. And I know how it might appear to you. So I wanted to approach this gently and with respect.
I appreciate
to be the
it.
first one to come to you.
Yeah, no, that's smart. Because if a bunch of them, yeah, that wouldn't have
No,
panned
it
out too
wouldn't
well.
have. In a few days, we're going to be meeting. We're going to be calling all of your pack forward. And a few of the elders are going to be asking some questions of Aspen and potentially of all of you. Be honest. Be respectful. This is a serious matter. I understand that there are a lot of things to consider in matters like this. Naivety is honesty. You are young, all of you. But I can only get you so far. When you needed us before we came, claiming that we wouldn't have come, that you were all alone, that there was no other choice, is a fool's errand. If it was a mistake, it was a mistake. Better to admit it
Well,
than not.
you're a leader. If you were put into a situation where a demand of a greater spirit was made of you, what would you have done? Like, I'm just curious. 'Cause I don't know what I would have done in that situation. Aspen made the best call that she could.
Was it the best? You said they didn't even know all of the ramifications.
Right?
I can't say what the others will say. That is what the inquiry is for. Is to learn what her thought process was, is to learn what position she was in, is to see if she took all the necessary steps in making her decision. If it was reckless, if it was premature, if it was foolhardy, if it was against our laws, that is a different matter. But if it was the only choice, then yes, we will understand. If it was the right choice, yes, we will understand. If it was the wrong choice, that's another matter. But again, I'm coming to you not as your enemy. None of us are your enemy here. We are all brothers and sisters of the Garou. Nation aside, we are all fighting the same enemy. And we are trying to do it together. So no matter what happens, Aiden, as your mentor, as your friend, understand this. This is not an attack. This is not a fight.
I hope they don't say any fighting words then. I have a hard time with that.
Try to maintain your temper as best as you can. This is a war of words. Some will come with words that can seem biting. Some are good at that. Silverfangs especially are good with their words that way. Some are a little more clumsy. I know that the Black Furies are coming. They can be very aggressive in their words and don't necessarily choose their speech carefully, especially when angry. Just keep in mind their anger is justified. And as long as they don't turn it violent, which they shouldn't, there is no cause to respond with violence. We all came here under an understanding that violence is not the course of action and will not be tolerated by any of us.
I'll do my best, Duncan. I'll try.
You will. I know you will. I believe in you. You are honorable. You always were.
You said a few days?
Yes.
Okay. So you, some of the Black Furies, Silver Fangs, any other fun people?
There is a ghost council from Chicago. You wouldn't have heard of her, Anna Pelfrey. She's being brought in to be a... Aspen's a lawyer, right?
Yeah, she passed the bar.
How much? Oh, very good. So, how
Yeah.
much have you learned about lawyers?
They're really good at talking. They make you feel like you're stupid, and they always get their way.
Have you watched any law shows?
The one with the blonde girl.
So, you know, prosecutor. Have you heard of a prosecutor? The ones who
Uh,
ask all the questions, trying to get people to admit they're wrong or trying to. She's
yeah, they
going
say all
to
the
be,
big words.
She's going to be acting as the prosecutor. She actually was a lawyer once upon a time.
Fun.
So she is going to be trying to ask the really hard questions.
Okay.
She's the one I want you to really try hard not to attack. She's very old. Probably older than most of us.
So don't attack the old lady. Got it.
Correct.
I will. Like I said, I will do my best. As long as they don't actually physically do anything,
They
we'll be
won't.
fine.
They won't.
They
They've-
touch her, I don't know what's gonna happen.
They will not. They've been through processes like this before. This is not a unique situation.
Okay.
And I will tell you, there is hope. Others have gotten through these things before and come out without issue.
Okay.
But
Alright,
others
if you
have also failed. I have to be completely honest with you.
she's not a failure though. She's one of those. She brags about her grades being all the letter A. So
Of course.
but I haven't eaten yet. I don't know if you've eaten. You've come a long way.
Indeed. Let's go eat.
All right, let's do it. I'll show you a good spot.
You both shift into your lupus forms, going for a much needed hunt side by side, mentor and protege. It's been a long time since you've had this opportunity, and it could be a long time until you'll have it again. Maybe never. We'll be back in just a few moments when we return. The trial of the Garou Nation versus Aspen Weiss.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Barra the Bard, Champs Tramps, Panchi Artista, and Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow SPbN on all socials with the hashtag StPeteByNight. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/StPeteByNight to help keep the stories rolling.
Welcome back. In the first half, in various ways, all of the members of our pack found out that a moot of sorts was coming to Tampa. Not a moot, really, but a conclave, I guess, of various members, the mentors or associates or, I guess in some ways, adversaries, at least for one, of the various members of this pack were coming to Tampa to sit in inquiry and judgment over the decision to sacrifice the Caern to the storm spirit. A breach of the litany, to be sure, but was it justified? That's what's to be determined. Matthias being in Tampa was no mere coincidence. It was just an inciting event for what was to come. So now, a week after first being spotted at the port of Tampa, all of the Garou are called together after Aspen's phone call to Matthias prompted a gathering. We find ourselves way on the outskirts of Tampa, gathered together at the fairgrounds of all places, normally where the carnival takes place, a wide, wide open space where the state fair takes place. Plenty of room that if things were to go very, very badly, nobody would be around to see or hear anything. Since there's no event taking place at the fairgrounds this particular night, there shouldn't be any worries of any delirium or breaches taking place. And with Matthias and the resources, the considerable resources he has, he can assure that that's the case. So we find ourselves late in the evening, deep in the fairgrounds, in a wide open space where vehicles have been pulled up, casting headlights in a glowing circle on the ground in the middle of this space. Chairs have been set up in a circle for everyone to sit. On one side of the circle, the pack is assembled. Aspen, Aiden, Jester, Lucas, and Artie. On the other side, sitting in the center, is Matthias Morningkill. On one side, we have Duncan Vanderkamp of the Gale Stalkers of Washington. On the other, we have Ravenclaw of the Black Furies of Colorado. We have Anna Pelfrey, Ghost Council of the Sept of Jupiter of Chicago. There is Charles, the Silver Fang, associate of the pack, but of the Silver Fangs. Matthias stands, stepping forward. He offers a smile, his hair neatly coiffed back, his suit pressed. I'd like to start by saying thank you to everyone for agreeing to meet this evening. I understand that there have been a lot of emotions surrounding this. A lot of feelings, a lot of concerns, a lot of conspiracies. A failure to communicate between our groups has led to a lot of complications, a lot of issues, and possibly a lot of problems. My goal is to start a path of healing, a way to mend any broken fences, any lines of communication, to take steps forward. The nation is broken, shattered. There is no doubt about that. What we had before is the past. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. We are a nation of selfish agendas, of small factions. We don't work together. We haven't worked together for some time. We can't proceed forward as we have in the past. We need to find a new way together. If we are going to succeed as a people in our mission for Gaia, for the Garou, we need to evolve. But some things still need to be adhered to. Some ways need to still be observed. And some believe that those ways have been violated. So we have asked for an inquiry to take place into the events surrounding the hurricanes and the destruction of the cairn at the Memorial Gardens. Miss Weiss, thank you for agreeing to take part in this. Thank you for bringing your pack to communicate with us. And in response, I am willing to answer any questions that they may have about the activities that I have been participating in the area, if they are willing to be forthcoming with the inquiries of myself and the council I have assembled here. I promise you, all of you, that any activities I have been taking part in have only been for the furthering of your pack's goals and our nation's goals. I, in these matters, am abstaining from any personal judgment. I have no personal inquiry here, and therefore, if it is acceptable, Miss Weiss, I will act as mediator and adjudicator on this matter and allow the council to ask their questions, express their feelings, and advise as they see fit. But in the end, I will state my final feelings on the matter.
Of course. Thank you very much, Mr. Morningkill, for being here and being willing to have communication between both sides. I very much appreciate it. I would like to start with a question, if you will have it.
Of course.
Is this a judgment of whether or not I have broken the litany, or is this a chance justification as to why the litany was broken?
Do you believe the litany was broken, Miss Weiss?
I do believe the litany is broken, and I would not want to waste anyone's time here if that is the circumstance we're debating here.
Then I believe this is your chance to justify that the cause was valid.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
He looks towards the other members of the council, and they kind of nod their head in agreement and understanding, as if to say, like, yeah, we knew that already. Like, we kind of figured. Very good. Would you like to say anything before any questioning begins? An opening statement, if you will.
Of course. Of course. First, thank you, representatives of the nation, for being here and willing to listen to my justifications of what happened on the night of the Cairns violation. I do want to start with, I believe there is contrition that needs to be made as far as who was hurt during this situation and how people's feelings, whether the situation is seen as right or wrong, feelings were indeed hurt. And for that, I do apologize. And I do not wish to hurt anyone in that situation, especially though they can't represent themselves today, the spirits, because they were an innocent party here and they did not deserve the situation that happened. I would, however, like to bring up a few of my defenses as far as that night in question. I believe that with the storm, we made an arrangement and came to a decision under false pretenses of what the storm had been asking for. They asked for a sacrifice of the Weaver, not a sacrifice from the wild and the Cairn as a whole. I was unaware that that devastation would be happening in whole. I thought the Weaver and the spirits there, which still, I do not justify those spirits being hurt, but I was under the under the arrangement that it was a sacrifice to the Weaver and not to the whole of all spirits, all destruction. I also would like to say that in consideration that I made, that day, there is an ill-gotten history amongst that Cairn specifically. It is under the eye of the leeches that we've been fighting here from almost the moment we've been here. I understand that it does not change the fact that I broke the litany. It is just a consideration that I took when making the decision I made, the ill-gotten history, the potential of it being on a time clock, as it were, regardless. I also would like to speak of, no, this is not a legal argument, but hindsight, knowing everything I know now, as far as what the storm did, I think that was the only course of action and no other option that I could have given. Examples, Regina, Arthur's car, or the clave that has a history within Tampa. I don't believe that they were going to be a justification for the storm to take as a proper sacrifice because of the destruction that was taken on the Cairn that night. I also do want to say there are decisions that are made in wartime that are losses that need to be had. The saying goes, sometimes you must lose the battle to win the war, and unfortunately, decisions like that must be made to win the war. I do want to bring up a possible solution moving forward, and I understand we can discuss that further after your questions have been asked. I believe that a solution would be to potentially have a skilled theurge here, one that you see and deem as fit, to come in and help us amongst the spirits, because I do see the lack of knowledge that we have when it comes to spirits amongst our pack. We did lose our theurge after the cairn was built, and to have another skilled theurge to rectify any situations where we could do harm in that way would be a great solution moving forward. But that is all I have, and I appreciate and look forward to the questions you have coming.
Anna Pelfrey, a woman who appears to be in her mid to late 40s, possibly early 50s, which is old for a Garou, stands up. She is dressed in business attire, very befitting a lawyer, much like Aspen. Her hair done up in a bun, wearing spectacles. Good evening. My name is Anna Pelfrey, though I prefer to go by the name Eyes of the Sea. I represent the Ghost Council from the Sept of Jupiter of Chicago. I was once a lawyer, district attorney in Chicago, many years ago. Now, I have been out of practice for some time, but I believe I have what is necessary to represent the nation in this case. Now, I was not part of the building of the cairn. I do not have any personal stake and did not take any personal offense to what happened here. So when I ask these questions, please know that they do not come from a place of personal affront or offense. I am merely representing the grievances that were expressed to me by members that did take place in the building of the cairn. Miss Weiss, what exactly was the arrangement with the storm spirit in regards to the sacrifice?
The arrangement was that we would find a legitimate sacrifice of the Weaver that they would take as penance for the disrespect they saw from 10 years of neglect.
And was this decision to be made instantaneously? Were you put on the spot to make a decision?
No, we had some time to think about our possible options and make a decision by the time allotted.
How much time was that?
Two weeks?
I believe it was it 2 weeks or a month?
One of the two. Out of game, one of the two. I'm forgetting.
Whatever. It was, we'll say 2 weeks because I forgot.
30 days.
30 days. 30 days. I thought it was a month. Yeah, 30 days. Okay. A month. Very good. Why was this arrangement made?
Because of the neglect of the storm in the area for the last decade, without a theurge here to keep that relationship cordial and balanced.
Understood. So in making this decision, were there any other options available to you at the time other than the Caern?
There were many options. The ones that we came up with specifically were that we thought were the strongest after many discussions, because we did discuss potential of RVs, other monetized items that we have that we didn't think had any real hold for a weaver sacrifice. But the large potentials we saw were the cairn, the clave that Jester holds that belonged to Ryder from the Sept before, and Regina, the Jeep with the Weaver spirit inside of it.
Did you consider reaching out to the Storm Spirit with any of these offerings to see if they would be suitable?
No, we didn't want. I personally, I can speak for myself and my thought process as the pack leader. I did not want to aggravate them further, as it was already contentious from the start. So to aggravate them with our options and having them pick, I think would be an affront to their thought process, and it could potentially put us farther in their dislike.
Understood. And what led to this encounter with the Storm Spirit that led to the brokering of this deal? Can you take us through the course of events that brought about this deal in the first place?
Of course. So, we all know that there was a large hurricane that hit this area, brought a lot of devastation. It came to our attention that the Storm Spirit was feeling disrespected, and that the Garou had done an affront by not keeping that relationship balanced and solid. So we tried, with the help of Eliza Ross, a theurge here within Tampa, to have a rite of contrition to show penance for the neglect over the decade. Unfortunately, it was not enough for the storm, and another storm rolled in. We managed to get our position into the Umbra, fight off some of the devastation, and come to a understanding with the storm, which brought us to the sacrifice in order to appease it in the future.
And what tribe does Miss Ross belong to?
She belongs to the Stargazers.
And what role does she play in this dealing with the Storm Spirit?
She is a theurge, the only theurge that we have here in Tampa, and also a bit of a mentor, as she's been around before. The last sept has history, as well as many rites of history that we can kind of pull from. A bit of a mentor, if you will, for us here within Tampa at the moment.
So she has been part of the area this entire time.
That is correct.
I see. You said that you had lost your previous theurge. When was that?
It was shortly after the cairn was built. They decided that they were needed more somewhere else.
That was many months ago, if my understanding is correct, that the cairn was officially built.
Yes, that is correct.
In that time, why did you not petition the nation for another theurge to be brought to assist you?
I have had discussions about potential more Garou coming to help recently, but it was something that was discussed between Mr. Morningkill and I at length. This is something he wanted to happen and was doing his best to make that work. A
Now-
theurge specifically, I will say I did not request a theurge specifically, nor did I request Garou specifically. This was Morningkill in a discussion between the two of us.
Now, I'm also to understand that you did at one point, your kinseeker did find a theurge by the name of Terrence, who was sent up to Georgia to be trained.
That is correct.
When you lost your theurge, why not recall him to the area?
Recall Terrence to the area. We discussed, and I don't think it would have been advantageous to us in any way of him being so new. He had his first change here. Our kinseeker found him, Aiden. We didn't think that he had the skill that was needed to help in such a contentious area. He would have, honestly, I truly believe that he would have died here before making any good headway or advantages to help our pack.
A fair assessment, I believe. Not a worthwhile risk to take. Could cause more harm than good. Understandable. So, if I'm understanding this correct, when your theurge left, you took on the mentorship and the guidance of Miss Ross, the Stargazer theurge, in their stead.
Correct. She was mentoring us before that. We had her here for a while before that. When we first got our foothold here in Tampa, we helped her and she had become a mentor to us, even our previous theurge, for quite a while.
When discussions of sacrificing the Caern were brought about, did she advise you the effect it could potentially have to sacrifice the Caern, the potential after effects that could take place were it to be done?
She did bring up some potentials that could happen with a destruction of a Caern, yes.
And these did not sway your decision. What potentials did she bring up, I suppose is the better question.
Well, the spirits, potential of harm to the spirits, even death to the spirits. We also talked about the potentials of what it would mean for the nation, but this was a pack discussion that we had at that point. What potential fallouts could be with spirits and with the nation as a whole.
Is Miss Ross a part of your pack?
Miss Ross is not officially a part of our pack, no.
But it was a past pack discussion she was a part of.
Yes, much like we have Charles part of our pack discussions, but he is not officially a part of our pack.
Understood. An associate or a consultation.
Right.
Understood. With the offering of Regina, the spirit of the Weaver, this would offer the destruction of one spirit, whereas the Caern would be the destruction of many spirits, or at least the potential destruction of many spirits. Did you consult with the spirits of the Caern before making the decision?
I did not. That is something I do regret. That is something I do regret in my decision that I did not have a discussion with them first. I actually had a conversation with someone close to me. They made me realize that was not something that I should have done, that I should have gone and had a conversation. My worry at the time, not a justification, just so you understand where my thought process was that potentially telling them and making the decision anyways could be seen as more of an affront than doing it. This was my thought process at the time. I do understand that that may have been a misstep.
At this point, Ravenclaw, who's been kind of silently stewing on the other side of Morning Kill, kind of blurts out, "You understand that killing all those spirits could fuck us all over, right? They don't know the difference between your pack and all of us."
As I said, it was a misstep. I would be curious to know if it has affected any of you in any way, if your abilities have been dampered because of my decision, excuse me.
Just our souls. Don't know if our abilities are fucked yet, but we'll see.
I appreciate the information. Thank you.
Anna kind of looks over to Ravenclaw and kind of bows her head, but then looks back. "Apologies, Miss Weiss." You said that you felt the storm spirit did not uphold their end of the bargain, their end of the deal. You felt like they took more than they had asked for. When you had made the decision, what were the terms exactly that you had used in the offering to the spirit? How did you word your terms to the spirit exactly? I've found that in my dealings with spirits in the past, they tend to be very fickle about wording and can take advantage of the use of words to, well, take advantage of the situation.
Understandable. I do not recall the exact wording that I used.
I see. Well, you say that you have experienced difficulties with your gifts since the event has taken place. What actions have you taken to try and remedy this since?
We have not taken any action as of yet, and I understand that that sounds like an affront. We have been waylaid by other information and very pertinent tasks at hand. I do not that I think that the spirits are not pertinent or important. It's just we don't have the tools. Again, to have another theurge here would be a wonderful start to all of this being solved. But right now, we are in pursuit of Bloody Mary. I'm sure that name has come across all of your ears at some point. And that seemed to be time sensitive, so we've been working towards that.
So, if I'm to understand correctly, you are intending to go after a powerful kindred with unreliable gifts and no cairn.
Unfortunately, that seems to be a strong possibility.
On top of that, you're intending to do so having offended what allies you may have had or may currently have by having destroyed the thing that bound you all together.
I believe that is why we were having this conversation.
a conversation that was only brought about because your mentor decided to bring it about, not because you reached out to the people that had been offended before or after deciding to offend them.
I would agree with you. I think there's been a conflict with communication on both sides, and I think this conversation can rectify that moving forward.
Do you believe you made a mistake, Miss Weiss?
No.
Do you regret your choice?
I regret parts of my choice, but no, I do not regret my choice.
Do you believe penance or contrition should be paid to those that you've offended?
I believe that it has hurt some people, and I will pay penance for that, especially the spirits. The spirits I plan to pay contrition and penance to. The people who were hurt through the destruction of the Caern, I think in those ways, yes, that penance should be made. But as far as apologizing for my decision, no, I do not believe I should apologize for my decision.
Mr. Goodspeed.
Hello.
Hello. You were privy to all of the events that led up to these current times. Do you believe Miss Weiss took all the right steps in the decision she made?
I do, yeah. She did all the things.
She did everything correctly.
With the circumstance that we're kind of put in, I don't see another option that could have been done.
And you wouldn't have done anything differently if it were you.
I never really picture myself as a leader, so I don't know how to answer that question.
Arun are natural leaders.
They are?
Especially in times of war or conflict.
My thoughts on certain matters are definitely heard by Aspen, and she does come to me and ask for things. But leadership is not something fitting someone like me. I will rush into things. I will second guess myself from time to time. Aspen is one who puts a lot of thought into everything she does. She takes both sides of the picture and puts them together and tries to make sense of them. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy you point at. That's the one who needs to be taken care of. I'm the guy for that. As a Gale Stalker, I don't have a problem being the killer. Not the leader, though.
If I'm understanding what I was told correctly, the time the decision was made, a vote was called for, but before the vote could be finalized, a decision was made.
Yeah.
Is that seeing all sides?
That's seeing sides beforehand.
Not hearing out all the pack members?
No, she did prior to that. She heard everything, saying she wanted to vote. She took in every little piece that was going on.
So nobody can change their minds?
No, they can, but she's leader. And when the leader makes a decision, that's it. You can question afterwards, but when it comes push to shove, the leader says we're going to do this, we do that.
Do you believe Miss Weiss has your best interests in mind?
Always.
Do you believe you can win the fight you're currently pursuing, considering everything that's happened?
Do you mean here or as the nation as a whole? Because as, point towards Matthias, as Matthias said, we're broken.
I'm a tier,
which,
considering you have no Caern, your allies are currently strained, and your abilities are waning.
it'll be difficult, for sure. From a tactical standpoint, we're we're going to be fighting uphill from this point, but that's how we started here. We didn't really have much to go off of, but we built relationships, and we'll do it again. We've done it before. Things will be harder this time, but we've all grown since we got here. We've all become stronger. We've some of us become wiser, not so much me, but have gone through those motions and have learned from our mistakes. And mistakes are going to happen. That's part of being that human side of things, but you learn from them. And to be a good human is to learn from your mistakes. Was this a mistake? I can definitely see how it could be seen like that, but the rest of you weren't here. This was a hard decision, and Aspen took it upon herself to make that decision.
You're right, Mr. Goodspeed. The rest of us weren't here. Why do you think that was?
Because you guys abandoned this place. You guys did show up, and you guys did help.
Why weren't we here now, when you had a month to decide?
That is on us. That was something that we could have done. A mistake was made. Calling you guys to look over the overall thing as a nation coming to accept in need. Yeah, going to the nation would have been a wise move. But we were recovering from being hit with a hurricane. So we had a lot of things going on and just trying to figure this out. Being alone is just something we became comfortable with. Relying on others is not one of our strong suits. We try to figure things out ourselves here as a pack. And yes, as a whole, the nation is one large pack and we're supposed to work together. We didn't reach out to our brothers and sisters, and these are the ramifications. I think I said that right. Ramifications of that. Thank you. Yeah. So, yes, we should have reached out. There's a lot we can play this should have game all day. It just, the situation itself, there was a lot of those the variables that were going on.
Do you believe the litany was broken?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you believe the punishment should be?
Breaking of the litany usually goes to contrition, if I'm remembering that right. I believe there's also a right. I'm not the right guy, but I think there's a right to do something with that as well.
A rite of shame.
Yeah, that's the one. I think that one might be a bit much. I think contrition, as far as being fair, I think contrition is something to pay for what has happened.
You don't believe it's fair for someone to carry shame over the death of dozens of spirits, several offended parties, and the destruction of a cairn, all with no conversation.
Conversations were had, though.
Not amongst the offended. Not amongst the murdered.
Okay, yeah. Right of shame. Aspen made the overall decision, but none of us did stand up for it. If it comes down to a right of shame, I would like to be tried separately at this point, not as a pack. If she's going to take it, I'll take it too.
Thank you, Mr. Goodspeed.
You're welcome.
If I may speak before we call upon anyone else.
Yes.
As far as not being called upon in a time of need, I am saying this from a very logical standpoint, not from an emotional one, and I would like it to be taken as such. When many of the people left after the Cairn building, they said they did not have anyone to spare or to leave behind. In conversations with Matthias, he has said that his people were spread thin in his own situations, which is a lot of what we've gotten from many of the people who after leaving the Cairn. So to call upon someone who is already, as they say, spread thin, or to call upon someone when they say they have nothing to spare, it seems a bit of a moot point.
In times of day-to-day matters, you're right. But in times of dire need, in times of emergency, in times of deciding whether Cairn destruction, the death of dozens of spirits, the ripping of souls is concerned, I think they would spare the time.
And if we were to call, so I know for the future, for solutions, if we were to call, what would be your plan of action to help us in the situation?
I think an elder could at least give you the full picture of what you would be facing. Perhaps not a stargazer with nothing to lose.
So it would be advisement, not action.
Oh, I can't speak for everyone. Some might be able to send you a theurge. Some might be able to give you something of the Weaver of greater value. Some might have told you a clave legacy belonging to the Cairn that had neglected their duties, the sept that had neglected their duties and fallen away, might have been enough.
That is the advisement that I got. I actually did reach out to Matthias, as I said, before making this decision. I'm not sure if that was forgotten. I did reach out to him about the potentials of a clave and a cairn and a car. He did advise me that a clave would be the correct thing to sacrifice. In that regard, unfortunately, our packmate Jester had just gone through a difficult situation and was in the thralls of possible Hirano or some sort of catatonic state. So to take one more thing from her, I think would put us at a huge disadvantage, which would leave us at one less Garou here in Tampa.
One less Garou, or potentially all of your allies. All of your spirits, all of your gifts. I understand the decision. I do. But was it the right one?
If that is a honest question, I wasn't sure if it was hypothetical.
Hypothetical, of course.
Okay.
I believe you do think it was right. You have stated that, and I believe that's what you believe. Miss Jester, I know that you were not privy to the events of the actual decision. And I'm glad to see that you have been returned from the depths of Hirano. I have not been pushed that far, but I have dabbled with it, and it is not pleasant. So I am glad that you have been returned to us. I have seen others be pushed the entire way and have been lost to us. So I'm glad that you are back. Can you tell me what you do recall of this entire process? Or perhaps fill in any details that may have not been spoken so far?
In the weeks before, when we first started discussion, the idea was mine put forth. I put it forth because I thought it was the best option we had, given the other ideas. I did not think of the clave. I do feel we probably should have reached out and asked before making a complete decision on what some ramifications would have been for sacrificing the Caern. I was not privy to all of the discussions had, so I don't know how much Eliza was consulted, but I do feel we could have even gone to ask her more details about the spirits, at least, or what would have happened to them. And we could have reached out to the, I'll nod to those we have connections to and the other Cairns for advice at the very least.
Why didn't you?
I was caught up in another decision I had to make. And distracted. And that's on me. At least on my part.
Being a Garou is a difficult business, and I mean that sincerely.
I know.
And after the fact, when you came out of the situation, seeing what had been done, what did you feel about the decision, having not been able to be a part of the decision process? Do you think it was the right decision?
No, I don't. Should have been the clave. But I understand why she made the decision. And I can't say I'm not grateful. I am grateful she made the decision in a way. She's... She cares about us as a pack. And she puts us first.
Do you believe that you have any chance of winning this fight you're going into, considering the circumstances?
No.
Do you believe that the litany was broken?
Yes, she broke the oath she made.
What do you think the punishment should be?
contrition and recompense to the spirits and the Garou that were hurt without their consent or knowledge.
Mr. Shaw, I know that we have history. I do not wish to dredge up old history. And I hope that in asking these questions, we can put that history aside and just look at this matter as it is now. In reviewing the events leading up to the decision and since, are there any details you wish to put forward that may not have been revealed yet?
There's a few things that I can say. You can consider some of them opinion and some of them fact. It's not my concern of what you think about them, just that I'm going to say them. When we made our deal with Hurricane, a associated spirit to him he had Eliza strung up and was ready to murder her there on the spot. That would not have solved the problems we faced down the road. Knowing that Hurricane was very serious about what he planned on doing, when the options were placed on the table, it being associated with what my tribe holds dear, I did not think that a jeep or a broken clave would be enough. The clave may have been enough, but it wasn't the entire thing. So it would have been a half-hearted gift at best, even if the intentions were very, very strong. So, with lack of better options, the Cairn was brought up, and beyond any shadow of a doubt, I believe that Aspen made the right call. We, this pack of young Garou, are the only ones on the ground with our faces in the mud in Tampa doing the work. And we have a terrifyingly homicidal leech that wants nothing but to rip our faces off, and all of its associates that want to help them do it. And that leech knew exactly where we made our home. So it was intelligent. It was pragmatic. It was what a pack leader does. It was what a sept leader does. And she did it.
Mr. Shaw, it was the decisions of this pack leader, this sept leader, that chose the home that this bloodthirsty Garou, this bloodthirsty leech knew where it was. It's the decisions of this sept leader that you are the only ones with your faces in the mud. You can act like you're the victims or the heroes, but you won't receive help if you don't ask for help. And asking once and being denied doesn't mean you stop asking. Situations change, conditions change. When you really needed the nation, it came. We all have our own fights on our own fronts, our own homes to defend. We have our own mud. When we ask for help, we need it also.
And what about the 10 years when there was nothing down here?
Because the fight was lost here. And we didn't have the resources to move again.
Well,
we held the line in Georgia.
Gaia saw it different.
That's true. And now we are trying to push forward. Mr. Morningkill is sending reinforcements here, so I hear. We helped you build a cairn.
If I may, it seems as though there may be a bias between you and Mr. Lucas here. While you were steady with the rest of us, you seem to be very passionate in your words towards Lucas. As far as calling and asking for help, if, and this may come off accusatory, if the investment was so strong in our cairn, if you had any semblance and knew that we needed help here because it was just us, why not the olive branch lifted on the other side as well? I think blame is being taken, but I think the blame is shared. So on that front, I think the blame is shared on both sides, and that we should not be pushed down because we didn't call for help. The olive branch can go both ways if the intensity and passion for this cairn is, as you say, on both sides.
We can't know where the trouble is if we're not told, Miss Weiss.
The trouble has not changed since it had been set. When people left the cairn, they knew what they were leaving. So I think feigning ignorance is not a good defense in this stance. And I would appreciate if the decorum between you and Lucas stayed the same as it was for the rest of us, please.
Simply matching the energy I'm given. But you're right. I am out of practice, as I said. Do you believe she broke the litany, Mr. Shaw?
Yes, I do.
What do you believe the punishment should be?
Here is where I'm going to have to break ranks with my fellow packmates. Aspen Weiss made a decision during wartime, and when that decision was made, she was the leader. And according to the leader, they may not be challenged during a time of war. So based on the litany, I believe this entire thing should be dissolved, and she should make her own recompense with the spirits.
So during wartime, there should be no litany.
This is very clearly what it is. She made a decision during wartime. That decision should not be challenged.
So by that logic, if we were to all acknowledge King Albrecht as the leader of the nation, we all answer to him in wartime, and have since he took the throne.
I would love to hear his opinion on this.
At this point, his gaze has dropped to the ground. As would we all. I think that's the problem, though. Without law, without order, we have dictators. We have leaders with too much on their plate that are burdened by the weight of that leadership, who fall under the strain of it. That is what has happened to the nation. That is what we are trying to remedy, what we are trying to change. That is what certainly made me retreat from the politics of the day for many years. Changing that is the only thing that made me come out from seclusion from it. But thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Miss Pelfrey.
Mr. Garfield. Do you have any details to add? Artie kind of nervously wrings his hands. I believe Aspen has been doing her best with everything she can. I don't believe she has the support she needs. And I don't believe she's been given the guidance she needs. But I think she's persisted regardless. And I think she's led with strength regardless. Was it the best decision? No. Was it the right decision? For the sake of our hearts, for the sake of our minds, for the sake of our pack and the connections we've made, for the sake of our family that we've created here? Yeah. Because we are a family. And losing even one of the members of our family is too many. Because we almost did with Jester. And we weren't willing to risk it. So maybe we lose our allies in this, maybe. May we be really undergunned in this fight. And may we lose it. Maybe. But one thing I can say, without doubt, is that we're going to lose it together. All of us, as a family, side by side. And I can't think of another leader that I would want to lose it with. And another leader that I would stand behind. So if she broke the litany, then I broke the litany. And Aiden broke the litany, and Jester broke the litany, and Lucas broke the litany. We could have asked for help. For the last 10 years, I could have asked for help. But in Florida and in Tampa, we just got used to surviving. And maybe there's something in the water or the air that makes us just survive here. But Aspen is trying to teach us to thrive. And I think we can take this as a lesson that there are other options. And we'll do better. Our mistake, you heard it. Now let us know that you do hear us, that what we're doing can be heard, that maybe we can make waves in the nation, something we didn't even think was out there, something we weren't even sure existed. Yeah, you came to help build the Caern. That was great. We appreciated it. But it's really easy to forget things down here. This is like no other place I've been, and I'm from here. It's bizarro land down here. Time works differently. It's easy to forget the friends you have when they're out of sight, out of mind. But the people who stand beside you every day, the people you wake up next to, the people you go to war with, you don't forget them because they're there in the struggle. And you'll do whatever it takes not to lose them. Not even for a second. Yeah. We broke the litany. Yeah. We'll be punished for it. In whatever way you guys see fit. Mark us with shame. Make us pay penance. Hell, I'll apologize to everybody. I don't care. I do feel sorry to the spirits that got killed. But I don't feel sorry that my family is still here. I don't feel sorry that I get to fight another day beside Jester and Lucas and Aiden and Aspen. Whether you're with us or against us. Anna remained silent through most of it. Well, I think that covers most of it. Thank you, Mr. Garfield. Unless anyone else on the council has any other questions or statements, I would ask if any of you have anything else you'd like to say before the council makes their recommendations to Mr. Morningkill.
This is your time to ask questions for the other side. All of you.
Oh, you can ask questions about the other business after. This is about, we're going to finish this first.
Say their questions are relevant, but if that's how
well,
it's
fair.
seen.
Go ahead. If you feel it's relevant.
I got one.
Yes.
With all the information that's been given, I was approached by Duncan earlier, and I asked him a similar question. And I'll bring it up to you guys. And I kind of already know what kind of pompous answer I'm going to get, but I'll ask. If you were in this situation down here with the same relations with the nation that's already been going on, what would you have done differently?
Ravenclaw's the first to speak. Every member of my pack knows their responsibility. Every member of my sept knows their responsibility. We know what sacrifice is. We know from the moment we become Garou, everything is sacrifice. We're all going to die to this fight eventually anyway. We live every day like we're going to die to this fight. It's what we have to do. It's what makes the fight worth it. So if one of us has to take the hit, so the rest of us don't have to, we do. We lay down for each other because we're going to have to anyway. And we love each other for it. We honor each other for it because there is honor in doing that. There is respect in doing that. That is how we show our love for each other, not by clinging. If one of us volunteers to sacrifice, we honor that. We don't take that away from them. It's a shame and a disrespect.
Okay. That makes sense.
Was an invitation extended for the Shadow Lords to attend tonight?
An invitation was extended. The Shadow Lords, not being offended by this particular matter, did not care to attend.
Thank you.
Okay. We've spoke about the logic of the situation, about the back and forth of the reasons as to why or why not this was a good idea or a bad idea, or why I made the decision that I made. And the logic has been spoke. I don't want to talk logic anymore. Ravenclaw, no disrespect, but you said that it's an honor to take the hit for your fellow Garou, and I agree with that to an extent. But this was an opportunity for us to all take the hit together. I think that's the problem. The problem is that we all do things individually for honor, for respect, for some sort of, I don't even know what to call it, but we're all here together. We're all supposed to be here together. And I understand that. I should have called. You're right. I should have called. And you all should have called too. And that's the problem. That's why the nation is shattering. That's why everything has gone to shit, because no one is taking care of anyone else. And that's what I want to change. So if I can ask for anything, I'll take the shame. I'll take the heartache. I'll take whatever you guys give me. And I will take it, and I won't complain. Not once. But what I ask comes out of this is compassion for each other. Compassion, understanding, and we need to take care of each other because that's what's important. Because you're right, I'm done surviving, and you guys all should be done surviving. We should thrive together, even if it's short, even if it's a short life that we all live. We should care about each other. That's what's important. So please, think about that. That's the one thing I want to give to all of you in all of this, is to be compassionate to each other.
Ravenclaw stares at Aspen. I would have gladly taken the hit if I knew it was coming.
That's not the point I'm making.
You ripped my wife's soul out.
Yeah.
She didn't even know it was coming.
And that's the fault, is that we didn't talk to each other. That's the point I'm making, Ravenclaw. I don't want to fight with you, and I'm sorry that your wife is hurting. That's not what I wanted. I just want us to take care of each other.
Ravenclaw looks to Matthias. Shame and contrition. Duncan looks to Aiden. Looks to Aspen. I believe the lesson has been learned. I think she will make the contrition when the time is right. I do not believe shame is necessary. She will make the contrition in her own way. She is an honorable sort. She will do what she thinks is right. No shame. Anna looks over. She stares at Lucas for a moment and starts speaking. In the past, I would have believed for an offense like this, one should be outcast. But these are the kind of mistakes that have led to the nation falling apart. We can't heal, we can't teach, we can't learn by just throwing our mistakes to the side. This is how the cult is created, this is how the dancers come to be. We just make more enemies. If this is a new nation, as you, Matthias, claim it to be, contrition, yes. And shame, yes. Matthias starts to speak. I have considered what everyone... At this point, Charles suddenly stands up. I feel like I should say something. I have been present through all of this, and I was not subjected to any questioning. Matthias looks to Charles kind of confusedly, and then his eyes narrow a little bit, but he nods his head slowly and says, "Go on." Charles steps forward. I do not always agree with Miss Weiss's way of doing things. In fact, more often than not, I disagree with the way she does things. I find, in fact, her way of leading grating, frustrating, against everything I was raised to believe. But when I speak, she listens. She always listens. And even a time or two, she's taken my advice. I'm not what you would call a people person. But she listens. And one thing I can say, without doubt, is she loves her pack. And if that's not what we want in a leader, what do we want? What are we looking for? If it's a shame to love your pack, if it's a shame to sacrifice and put everything at risk for the ones you love, then what are we fighting for? For we all love Gaia. Or at least we should. And we put everything at risk for it. It was a reckless, foolish, ill-thought decision. But it was done out of love and caring. She's learning. Let her continue to learn. The burden of shame only brings jaded leadership. The burden of shame brings about those like my grandfather, who had his own fur flayed from him for his pack in the pursuit of the Silver Crown. The greatest dishonor one could have. I ask you, Uncle, let this one go. Help them. Let them build a new cairn. Bring in the reinforcements. Teach them. Show them what was wrong in this case. And commend them for their intent, even if the actions were ill-advised. I am done speaking. And with that, he steps aside. Matthias pauses, pursing his lips as he watches Charles return to his seat. Miss Weiss, I advised against sacrificing your Caern. But I did not tell you why you shouldn't. Not to the full extent I should have. In a way, I could say through some smarmy grin that was a test. But truthfully, that was a failing as a mentor. Truthfully, I should have told you you shouldn't, and I should have offered you many other alternatives. I should have told you why to the full extent and what was coming if you did. If a shame is to fall on you, it should fall on me also. It should fall on all of us. Because we are a nation. We rise together, we fall together. This is not a king and his court and his subjects, though that is what many of you, I'm sure, are starting to believe from our actions as of late. This is not the nation of old. I would not seek for it to be. The nation of old will not work, cannot work. We deserve better. You, the future, deserve better. Gaia deserves better. So do we all. The litany was broken. For this, Miss Weiss, you will decide your own punishment. And you will pay whatever chiminage you believe is necessary. You do owe penance to the spirits. I cannot decide that for them. That is in their hands. But in the eyes of this nation, this new nation we are seeking to build, let it be forgiven. And let us try to move forward together. You have a lot of alliances to rebuild. I cannot speak for each individual wrong that they feel has been committed. But as for myself, I will continue to help you in any way that I can. And I will endeavor to be better communicating. I have old habits in the way I do things that I am still trying to shake. old dog, new tricks, and all that. He looks to the rest of the council. Are we agreed? There is definitely some frustration rising from the Black Fury end of things. But they all nod in their own way, acknowledgement. Very well. Then we are adjourned. And with that, our story comes to a close. We have one more scene, as we often do. On a boat, out in the bay, drifting out towards the Gulf. As it floats along the water on a moonlit night. We pan along the side of the boat, drawing closer and closer until we see a ladder along the side that goes down into the depths of the water. And out of the water, a hand springs up to a rung of the boat. It is clad in plaid up to the wrist, and as it pulls out of the water, a short, curly-haired woman's frame starts to rise out of the water. And that is where tonight's episode comes to a close. This is the last episode of 2024. For the next 2 weeks, we are giving our Garou a holiday break, as it is going to be Christmas Eve next Tuesday and New Year's Eve the Tuesday after that. So we will be back with the last 3 episodes of the season in the hunt for Bloody Mary starting January 7th. So come join us then. It's going to only be a crazy uphill battle from here for this pack, but come be a part of it as we return January 7th and we take the next 2 weeks off. If you're not caught up with Rage Across Tampa, you should do that by watching all the past episodes on YouTube or listening to them wherever you can find our podcasts. And go follow St. Beat by Night on all of the social media down below. And if you're interested in the World of Darkness, you should join us on Discord. We've got the Discord link down there. You could be a part of our one-shots. We've got a lot of crazy stuff going on over the holiday break, so you can come be a part of any of those crazy activities we've got going on. But for this amazing, amazing group of players, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight, and we hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Rage Across Tampa is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, and Walks. Visit our website at stpeatbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.